Good morning, everyone.
Good
Okay,
morning, sir.
so yeah, good morning, very good morning. Okay, so I will share my screen as we were talking about the database and the data modeling. So as all of us know that, okay, that why the database came into the existence, okay, because there was some limitations of the file-based approach, okay. So what is file-based? That is text files, okay, when we are using the text file to store the data. So text files are to be used in the file-based approach. One of these text file is to store data about the individual anything. Here we have taken the example of band members. Okay, so related to the band members, what are the different columns that you can see here? Name, contact detail, banking details, band name, band agent name, band agent contact details. Okay, and after that data dependency, very important thing. Now we will see the comparison. It is given in your book also, you can see there. The flat files and the relational database. Okay, so what is the difference between the flat file and the relational database? Data are stored in a number of files in the flat files. Okay, when they are stored in the number of files, what happen? There is a possibility that redundancy may occur. Okay, and if the redundancy is there, maybe the integrity of the data will be compromised. Okay, it won't be there because the same thing, whatever you have stored in one file, it is going to be there in some other files also, and you won't be able to know, and you cannot set the constraint also for that. Data are stored in a single software application, the relational database or the DBMS software. Okay, so as you know the example that MS Access is there, and after that other applications are also there. SQL Server is there, MySQL is there. So all these are the relational databases. You can create as many as databases. These all are the applications. Please remember, into it you can create as many as databases you want, and in one database you can create as many as tables you want. Okay, and you can set the constraint also, the limitations also, that this thing has to be inserted, this thing, okay, should not be inserted. How we are doing all these constraints? With the help of the primary key, with the help of the unique key. Data are highly likely to be duplicated and may become inconsistent. It can never be certain that all the copies of a piece of data have been updated. It cannot never be sure, okay, in the flat file system that we have updated each and everything. All the records are updated. Duplication in the relational database, duplication of data is minimized. So the chance of data inconsistency is reduced as long as there is a link to the table storing the data. They can always be accessed via the link rather than repeating the data. Good
Sir,
database design avoids the data duplication. So
okay.
here in the RDBMS, what happens? The duplication of database can be minimized. Okay, there is a possibility that duplication will be there, but up to some extent what we can do, by using the normalization methods, we can minimize the duplications of data. Because of data duplication, the volume of data stored is large. Now as you can understand also, that when the duplication of data is there, what is going to happen? It is going to take a more space on the disk also. That's why it is written volume of the data stored is large. Relational database, on the other hand, because data duplication is minimized, the volume of data is reduced, leading to faster searching and sorting of data. That is what we want. Okay, we want that whatever the data we have inserted, okay, we are updating, so automatically all these process should happen. It should not take much time. Okay, So as you have seen also that when we are searching anything on the search engine, what happens? Just within few seconds, okay, just fraction of seconds, what happens? Everything is there on the screen. The search engines gives you the result. So how all these things are happening? All these things are happening because of the relational database. The concept of relational database is there. When data structure need to be altered, the software must be rewritten. Okay, here when you are altering, when you are changing the data structure, okay, of the flat file system, for example, anything which is stored as an integer, now you want to store it as a text, or you want to store it as a some other data type. So what you have to do, software has to be, means you have to do some changes. But in the relational database, it's not like that. The major changes are there. Data structures remains the same even when the tables are altered. Existing program do not need to be altered when the table design is changed. So simply, if you want to add any column, what you can do? Simply you can add the columns also into the database. It's not like that that you have to just again delete the table which is there in the database, and then what you have to do? For example, let's say previously only the name, father's name, and grades were there. Three columns were there in the table when we were making the student management system. Now we want to insert three more columns. Let's say email ID, serial number, candidate number. Okay. So when we want to alter the table which is there in the database, it's not like that you have to delete the previous one. No, the same table can be changed. The same table, the data structure can be altered. Views of the data are governed by different files used to control the data produced by individual departments. All views of the data have to be programmed, and this is very time consuming. Okay, so in the flat file system, as all of you know that if you are searching also anything, so it is going to take a lot of time. Why it is going to take a lot of time? Because so many files are there, the data is present in so many files, not like the relational database, okay, that only one file is there, and after that everything whatever you want to alter also you have to do it there. If you want to search something, that is also has to be done there also. If you want to insert something, you have to do it there. See, in the database, always remember there are four basic operations which we are doing. What are those four basic operations? See, you are going to create something, you are going to read something, you are going to update something, and you are going to delete something. So you can remember like CRUD, okay, CRUD, okay, CRU, C for create, R for read, U for update, and D for delete. Anyone have any doubt? Yes, tell me. Mano, understood? What is the difference between the flat file and the relational database?
Yes, sir.
Ali, any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to show you one video based on to this. Okay, flat file and the relational database.
Everything is all in one table, where all the information is stored in one table. So you can see on there, everything is all in one place. Now, usually a flat file database, we're talking about a spreadsheet like Excel. Even though that's a spreadsheet and not a database, technically a spreadsheet is a flat file database. But as you can see on the example there, there's lots of repeated data and there's more than one category of information. So I've got patient's information and doctor's information, and really those should be two separate things. The benefits of a flat file database, it's a lot easier to understand. I know personally, when I was learning ICT for the first time, I struggled with databases, but I found Excel really, really.
See here, this is very important. The first one, any novice user is there, any beginner is there. Okay, You don't have to understand much about the concept of the database when you are using the flat file system. Okay, so that's why it is written that flat file system often seems easy to understand. Okay, it's not like that the much of concept is needed to store the data, to insert the data, to update the data, to delete the data. Flat file databases are easy to implement, okay, because anyone can implement. It's not like that you have to first read, you have to know that how to create the database, how to update it. Okay, if you want to add the columns, then how to add the columns into the table. If we want to change the data structure of this column, let's say previously it was integer, now we want to make it varchar. Okay, so how to do that? All these things you don't have to master the skills related to it. Less hardware and software requirements. Okay, so less hardware and software requirements are there for the flat file. Less skills are required to handle the flat database system. You don't have to be very skilled person to handle the flat database system. Now, you can put the question that then why we should learn about the database, correct or not? Okay, because again the integrity of the data is not there, the security of the data is not there when we are storing anything in the flat file system, and that's why okay we have moved our data to the DBMS, RDBMS, okay, relational database management system. Now where the same data drawback, what are the drawbacks? You see drawbacks of the this one file, where the same data has been recorded in the multiple records. That data may be inconsistent, that is it is in different places, and maybe you don't know that I have already recorded this data, okay, but it is there in some other table, and that table also is not linked with the main table. Okay, contains a lot of redundant data because the same information is being recorded again and again. Sharing the information from the database can be difficult. Okay, if you want to export it, let's say, so sometime it becomes difficult. Slow for huge database, it becomes slow, that is understood. Okay, that you don't have any index, something like that, and when you are searching something, so you have to search in the, suppose there are 10 files in the flat file system, so you have to search the data into all those 10 related files. It's not like that you are going to search at one place and after that you will get the data. Searching the database can take a long time.
Easy. Flat file database is really easy to create. You can just put all your data in one place and leave it. You don't need lots of different hardware and software. So if you're setting up a massive database for a school, you won't need to buy a server, you just have a spreadsheet somewhere on a computer. And you don't need to have a really in-depth skill set to handle a lot of flat databases. However, you might have loads of spreadsheets about in a school or a hospital where people are all changing the data and it's inconsistent. You might have lots of redundant data, so lots of the same information being inputted. Sometimes it's difficult to share, especially if everyone's working on their own version of a spreadsheet. If you've got loads and loads of databases, loads of data, for your database, it could be really, really difficult and slow for it to be used. And if you've got millions of entries, it might be difficult to search for specific things that you want. Now, a relational database is a database where information is being categorized and each category becomes a table. So you might have two tables, one for the doctors, one for the patients.
See, what is the meaning of that? The here a relational database is a database where information has been categorized. What is the meaning of categorized? Yes, Clarissa.
Yes, sir.
What is the meaning of categorized?
Categorize. It's like
The information is divided. For example, one is student table where we are storing only the information about the student. Okay, one is marks table where we are only storing the information about regarding all the students, that how much marks they scored in different subjects. Now one table is regarding the fees, okay, that on which date they have paid, what was the time, how much they have paid. Okay, now in another table what we are doing, we are storing the attendance. So like this, what we are doing, we are categorizing the informations, the type, all these informations are related to student only, related to teacher only, okay, but they all are stored in the different tables. Please understand this, okay. That is how, but in the flat file system we are not able to do that. We are just making the different flat files, and there is, if any repetition is there, nobody is there to tell you that already this information is uploaded into the database, okay, already this information is inserted. Then why again there is a need to insert the information regarding this student, regarding this patient, okay.
Now, these tables are linked together through fields called foreign keys. So I spoke about primary keys and foreign keys in my first video for access, but just to recap that. So your primary key is your unique identifier for a table for each record. Now, foreign keys when you use one table's primary key in a different table. So where the primary key of one table is placed into another table, and that creates a connection, a link together. So you can see on the screen at the moment, we've got this publisher's ID is also in this table here, as well as the author ID is in this one here. So this table is for authors, this one is for publishers, and this one is for the actual books. So we've got books, authors, and publishers. So the benefits, because the categories are all stored in their own tables, you only edit it in one area, so you're not having loads of redundancies. Because the same data is not being recorded again and again, as I've said, it's...
Now you see the benefits and the drawbacks of the relational database. Because the categories of the different categories of the data are there and stored in different tables, data is only ever edited in one place, okay. And if you have not linked, if you have not set up the relation, so now you can understand the importance of the relation, that you have to set up the relation, okay. Whatever the type of the relation is going to be there, that is going to be created by the database, okay. You don't have to worry. Only thing what you have to see, that how to set up the relationship, okay. That you can see in the previous one also, that if I take the video back, so you can see here that how this table, all these, there are three tables and all these three tables are linked, okay. So this publisher ID is here also, okay, and the author ID is here. So this one is the main table, the primary table, okay. These two are the child tables. Both these child tables are linked to the primary table. Now as you can see, this is what is the type of the relationship, Mano? What is the type of the relationship we are setting up here between this author ID, author name, author birthday, and this table, the main table?
One to many.
How come one to many? Can you explain?
Oh, sorry, sir. Many to many, sir.
How come many to many? It is linked with which one? Author ID, correct?
Yes.
So can you see any repetition is there of the author ID?
Only two tables, right?
Yeah, only two tables, but is there any repetition of the author ID? You see 3, 4, 5, 2,
Yes,
8.
sir. There is. There is.
Which one?
The first one.
Yes,
Also, all of them are repeated.
all of them are repeated
Yeah.
or unique. They all are unique. Here also they are unique. Here also they are unique. They are not repeated. Where they are repeated? Repeated repetition means that the repetition is there in the same table. Are you getting my point? Are you getting it or not?
Yes, sir.
Repetition means that we are talking, when we are talking about the repetition, we are saying that the repetition in the same table. Okay, now if we are seeing this three columns table, that is author ID, author name, author birthday. So there is no such author ID which is repeated. You see, 2938 9965 4012 1254. Here also all different, here also all different. Okay, are you getting my point? Once let's say this is repetition is there, then you can say one too many. Okay, and yesterday we have already studied many to many, always, that is the impossible case. We don't want to arise the relationship of many to many. Okay, please understand this. Always many to many relationship is there. It has to break down into one to many only. Are you getting my point? Is that clear to everyone? Is that clear to everyone? Yesterday we have already discussed, okay, that many to many relationship is not possible, and even if it is arising in the database, it is arising because we have not set up the database properly. Okay, so we have to discard that type of relationship, we have to alter, we have to do some changes.
So we've got books, authors, and publishers. So the benefits, because the categories are all stored in the main tables, you only edit it in one area, so you're not having loads of redundancies. Because the same data is not being recorded again and again, as I've said, it's saves space because you're not putting in 5 books that are the same. And we can use queries to select data and search things that we want. And then database administrators have a decent degree of control over what person can see and access. However, you need to get some specialist software, you need to have some training, it can be quite difficult to understand, and it has higher software and hardware demands than just using a spreadsheet. So hopefully that was a little bit clearer for you all, and you all understand what I mean by a flat file and a relational.
Okay, so when this database little bit, and after that we will see the normalization. Okay, so it is vital to understand that database is not just a collection of data. A database is an implementation according to the rules of a theoretical model. Whatever the rules, whatever the protocols which is set up, the basic concept was proposed some 40 years ago by ANSI, okay, which is there in America, that is American National Standard Institute, in its 3-level model. Okay, so that is external level, conceptual level, and the internal level. So always when we interact, okay, as a programmer, so where we are interacting, yes, we are interacting here, okay, external level, conceptual level, the DBA, for the DBA, the internal level, okay, the programmer who has made the database, who has written the program for the database, okay. But we will not go, we will not later we will come to this. We will see the real okay, the most important feature of a relational database concept is the primary key. Okay, what is primary key? A primary key may be a single attribute or a combination of key attributes, that is also called sometimes compound key. Every table must have a primary key, and each tuple in the table must have a value for the primary key, and that value must be unique. The primary key ensures the entity integrity, that integrity of the data is maintained. Okay, the DBMS will not allow an attempt to insert a value for a primary key when that value already exists. Okay, so what it will do, the database will discard the value if you will try to do the redundancy. so it is going to discard it. Therefore, each tuple must be unique. There is one of the feature of the relational model that helps to ensure the data integrity. The primary key also provides a unique reference to any attribute value that a query is selecting. Although it is possible for a database to contain standalone tables, it is usually true that each table will have some relationship with another table. Between the two tables, always we set up some relationship. So that why we set up the relationship, please understand the importance of the relationship also, so that we can determine that what is the type of the relationship. Okay, and after that, automatically if you are changing the data in one table, what is going to happen, it is going to reflect, the reflection will go in the another table also. If you are deleting something from one table, from the another table also the data will be deleted. If you are updating something in one table, automatically the data will be updated in the another table. If you are adding something in one table, automatically the data is going to be added in the another table also. Okay, so all these process will happen only and only because of the relationship. And how we are setting the relationship? Primary key, foreign key. Primary key and foreign key are the means by which tables are linked together and the relationships are formed. A field is a foreign key in a table if it is a primary key in another table. That you have seen in the video also, that both the author ID is there in both the tables, or you can say the ISBN number also. The creation of foreign key is done at the table design stage. So that's the most important stage when you are designing the database. At that time only you must have a clear picture of the database, that what you are going to set up. And if anything you don't know about the database, then what is going to happen? Okay, and if the clear picture, the clear blueprint is not there, then the many to many relationship is going to arise. Okay, and after that, again, what your time will be wasted, the programmer's time. Okay, whoever is going to write down the program for it, his time will be wasted. Why? Because again, first he will write down the program, because he must be thinking something else. Now what he has to do, he has to make the major changes in the program, because now the relationship has to be broken down into one to many and many to one, and you have to insert some other one field also, so that what you can do, you can break down the relationship. Okay, because without adding any other field, you cannot just simply break down the relationship. Okay, if many to many relationship is present, simply you cannot break it down. You have to introduce one more field into it. Okay, one more field means that the time is getting wasted again. We have already seen this relationships. Normalization. Okay, now normalization, very important concept of the database. Okay, what is normalization? See, normalization is a set of formal rules that must be considered once we have a set of table designs. Okay, so if you have the table design, now you are going to apply some protocols. You are going to see that whether all the tables are going to follow whatever the parameters we have set for it, the rules which are set for the database or not. Okay, and after that we can say that yes, our database is normalized, means the integrity of the data is there. Okay, the redundancy is removed. It's not only the redundancy in one table, because in one table, let's say if you have applied the primary key, still the redundancy is not going to be there. But when you will link it, okay, maybe there are chances that the redundancy is there in the another one. By following the normalization rules, we ensure that the final table design do not result in duplicate data. Okay, so it should not result in the duplicated data also. Normalization is a design technique for constructing a set of table designs from a list of data items. It can also be used to improve on existing table design. Okay, so if you want to improve the table design, so still you can apply the normalization. Okay, and after applying the normalization, the table design is going to improve. How it is going to improve? Let's see it. That one table is there, we can divide and we can see. Now, what is the first normal form? Let's talk about the normal forms. Basically, okay, so we are going to study the three normal forms. First normal form, second normal form, and the third normal form. Okay, a table with no repeating group is said to be in the first normal form. That is, it should be atomic. Okay, all the columns should be atomic. It should not happen that you are going to break down again. For example, the name is there, name column is there. Now, column name can be divided into the first name, middle name, and the last name or the surname. Correct or not? So it means that this one is not atomic. Okay, we have to make sure that it should be atomic. Sometimes we use the keyword atomic, sometimes we use the word no repeating groups. For example, let's say here you can see that num customer name Bill Jones. Now up to now we have not applied any primary key and this is a database. Now we are going to normalize, and what is the first rule of the normal form? That, keep this thing, a table with no repeating groups is said to be in the first normal form. Okay, so here repetition is there, that you can see that num is also repeated, customer name is also repeated, city is also repeated, country is also repeated, and after that product id is also repeated, and description, yes, that description is also repeated. Okay, then what is the use of the database? That is the question you can ask to yourself. Okay, so now we remove the repeating groups by moving the product id and the description attribute to a new table. Okay, so what we can do, we can remove the repeating groups. Okay, now you see, and we have applied the primary key also, as you can see, linking the new table to the original table order with a foreign key. So there also what we have done, we have created num, I will show you, it is there in the another page. So this one is the foreign key, as you can see, the num. Okay, and here you can see that the primary key of each table is shown in the red. Okay, so of this table, so how we have made the primary key? Basically the num and the product id, but the num is the one which is linking, so we are saying that this is the foreign key. But when you will apply in the database, so it will act as a compound key. See here. Now, num, customer name is Bill Jones, city is London, country is England. That is unique. Okay, it is not repeated. It's not like that. Again, the Bill Jones may be at the fourth place or fifth place. No. First normal form means no repeating groups. Okay, the column name, the attribute should be atomic. Come to the second normal form, very important normal form, and please try to understand, because always the students get confused between the second and the third normal form. A table is in second normal form if any partial dependencies have been removed. Okay, that is, every non-key attribute must be fully dependent on all of the primary key attribute. Means to say that that is not possible that any non-key attribute is dependent on the another non-key attribute. Okay, are you getting my point? That it should not happen that uh, let's say the marks is dependent on the student name, okay, or some other field which is not a non-key, which is not a key attribute, which is a non-key attribute, which is a not a primary key. It is dependent on some other field. I will show you with the example. See here. Now here description depends only on the product ID and not on the num. Okay. Hence the non-key attribute, that is description, is not dependent on all of the primary key. Okay. So where is that? Now you see here, this is product ID. We have to go to the another table. Okay, we have to see this table first. Can you see this table, the order products table? Is it there on your screen? Now see, in the order products table, 005 is the table, and after that you see 002 is the table. And what is the product ID in both the cases? The product ID is same, but the num is different. What does it means? That the description is dependent only and only on the product ID. Please understand this. It's very important. Okay. Product ID description is dependent, which is a non-key attribute, and it is dependent only on the product ID. But who is the primary key? There are two keys which are combined together and they are treated as a primary key. That is num and the product ID. But the non-key attribute is not dependent on both the things. Non-key attribute is dependent only and only on one field. That is which one? Product ID, not on the num. So why to make it together? Why to keep it together in the table? Now what we have to do? We have to separate it. Okay, because see, please understand what is the problem here. It's already time. Okay, so just 5 seconds I will take. See here, the problem is that if you are deleting, let's say I deleted the first one. Now in that case, what is going to happen? The description where the product ID was 1 and the num was 005, the whole row is deleted. Okay, and now here you see that the num is 002, the product ID is 1, and then the description is table. So it means that the num 005 is deleted. It is not there, which was related to the table. That num is deleted. That's why what we have to do now, we have to make sure that all the non-key attribute is dependent on only and only on the key attribute. All of you understood the key attribute? What is the meaning of the non-key attribute and what is the meaning of the key attribute? Marlon, understood? Is that clear to everyone? Okay, so tomorrow again we'll see that. Okay, and we'll start from here only.
Okay,
Okay,
sir. Thank you, sir.
thank you everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.